and welcome to the Expat Investor Podcast. Thank you for joining me today. I will be your special host. My name is Carla Smart, and I am a chartered financial planner and the group head of pensions at Skybound Wealth Management. So I have been with the company now for over 11 years. I am rapidly becoming part of the furniture here, but today I'm here with, and I'm delighted to welcome Rhiannon Bagshaw and Umarrah Shafiq, who have recently joined the company here in Dubai. So I'm really pleased to have not one, but two new female advisors on board. We are, yes, a pretty rare breed, aren't we?
We are.
So how are you finding things here in Dubai?
Brilliant so far, yeah. Been here just over 6 months and really enjoying it.
Okay, excellent.
Just over 4 months for me, but having a really good time, yeah.
That's fantastic. So, Umarrah, could you just explain a little bit about what inspired you to pursue a career in financial planning, and how do you think actually being a woman has shaped your journey so far?
Yeah, sure. So I never really knew what I wanted to do when I was younger, and I guess like a lot of people who are financial planners, it's not really something that we want to do. It's typically something that people just fall into.
Sure.
But studied psychology at university, and then through my first job after uni, I started working on a project with financial advisors. I had no idea what a financial advisor did, but seeing the difference that they can make to people's lives was just something that I could see myself doing. Just helping people on their journey. So that's kind of how I fell into the industry, should we say. Obviously, it is a very male-dominated industry, and that can create barriers to whether it's kind of females entering or progressing into the industry. But actually for myself, I feel that being a woman has given me a more unique perspective.
Sure.
Especially when it comes to dealing with female clients, because I feel like female clients, they feel more comfortable during our meetings. Speaking to another woman who may understand some of the barriers that they come across in their life. So for example, balancing family and work life and a career. So I definitely think that has
can relate
worked
to one
in my
another.
favor, 100%.
And it's interesting that you had studied psychology. It must help in some of the conversations that you're having with people there.
Yeah, no, it did come to use.
Excellent. Rhiannon, I would love to hear your story.
Yes, so like Umarrah, I didn't know what I wanted to do either.
Right.
I actually followed in my father's footsteps.
Okay.
So he is a now retired financial advisor. He had his own business, and I joined at the age of 18 as a marketing assistant. And at that point in time, he had about 10 advisors working for him, and only one of them was female.
Right.
In my early to mid-20s, I went on to qualify as a financial advisor. And at that point, I started attending CPD workshops, training events, and I would arrive at these events and it would just be assumed that I was there in the capacity of a PA or an administration assistant.
Been there.
Whereas males of the same age would arrive at these events and it was just assumed that they were there as financial advisors. So I quickly came to learn just how male-dominated the industry is, and that led me to realise that I would need to work really hard to build credibility for myself, make sure that I had the knowledge when advising clients in order to build credibility as a female advisor in this arena.
Okay.
Fast forward to today, and I've got over 10 years experience now working as an advisor, very much focused on providing and building long-lasting relationships with clients, with a keen focus on advising female clients to help them build their own financial independence.
Well, that's fantastic. So sort of following in your father's footsteps, though, with the female touch.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That's brilliant. And why do you think it is that women are so sort of underrepresented in this industry, would you say?
I think there are lots of reasons. I think that a key one probably is concerns around work-life balance for women, especially if they've got commitments outside of work, especially if that's commitments relating to family, because it's a very demanding role and it does command long working hours. And I do think that can be off-putting for women.
Yeah, it was certainly a concern for me in my 20s when I first started.
It was for me as well. Yeah, it was for me.
Yeah. And any other reasons, do you think?
I would say, obviously, we've touched on a lot that it's a male-dominated industry. And I feel a reason for that is maybe the perception of the industry. It can be seen as quite technical, numbers focused, maybe even kind of like sales. And I don't think what women see is kind of the other side of that. So, you know, that actually it's much more holistic. It's much more client-centric. And also on the back of that, there's a lack of role models. So I think, you know, for women who are wanting to enter the industry, they don't really have any relatable figures to look to. Yeah.
It's a bit like what you were saying when you first started. There were the majority of men, so it's difficult to sort of see that path.
Yes, it is. It is, absolutely.
So what can we do you think, then, in order to help?
Well, I think another thing, just going back to work-life balance, I think what a lot of women don't realise is that this actually is a very flexible career to have.
Yeah.
So in my role as a financial planner, I've always worked on a self-employed basis. And that means then that I can work my diary around my family to suit our needs, as well as to cater for work as well. And I think if the industry did more to promote that level of flexibility, then maybe there would be some success in attracting more women into the industry. I have a 2-year-old little boy at home now. And I know, Carla, you've got 2 young children as well.
I do.
And I think that today more than ever, it's easy to work flexibly because 90% of our meetings take place online. Whereas pre-pandemic, we were out and about on the road and it was a much less efficient way of working.
I know.
Whereas now I will plan my diary so that I can leave the office early a couple of days a week. I can go home, I can spend time with my little boy, knowing then that when he goes to bed in the evening, I can log back on, I can do client meetings easily, pick up emails, and it works really well for my family.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, as I said, it was a genuine concern for me when I first started in my 20s and working all hours of the day, tearing around Paris for meetings and thinking, how on earth do you fit kids into this schedule? But I have to say, this is one of the things that I really have always valued working at Skybound, and I feel like the company were sort of a little bit ahead of their time. So as I said, I've been with the company for over 11 years now, and compared to the previous company that worked for, that were very sort of strict schedules. If you're not in a meeting, you need to be in the office from 8 till 6 and so on. I think there's always been an element of sort of mutual respect that I'm here to get the job done. But certainly when kids came on, trying to strike that balance. So I am able to take them to school in the morning. I'm able to feed them the dinner, put them to bed in the evening, and more often than not, I am doing emails after that.
Yeah, but, of course.
But yes, there is that balance.
Yeah, it enables you to have your career and still have a family alongside, doesn't it?
Yeah,
which is really important.
Exactly. So is there anything else you think we could be doing to encourage more women to come into this industry then?
Yeah, I think I would say kind of education and workshops. So having that at level of school leavers and university leavers, and just making them aware of the financial planning industry and the career opportunities that are available, and also just making yourself available as role models. So, you know, as you've both said, that you can have it all, you can kind of balance the career and the work life. So just making sure that, you know, if you're in that position, make yourself accessible, share your journey, share your stories, just to inspire other women. For sure.
And I was reminded actually last week how representation really matters. I had a client meeting with a female client of mine, and I presented this financial solution to her. And as we were going through the brochure, I was showing her the investment professionals that were behind this particular product, and they were all men, and it was really, really off-putting for her. And yeah, it just sort of made me realise that women, they want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be understood. And if they are, they're going to be more likely to actually invest. And that in itself is going to help to sort of bridge that gender pension gap.
100%,
for sure. And what do you think, sort of in terms of unique financial challenges, that women face today, would you say? And how do you think women are best to sort of navigate these?
So I think one of the factors at play is gender pay gap.
Yep.
Unfortunately, is still very much an issue. And for example, last year in the GCC region, the gender pay gap was estimated around 26%, which is a significant number. So I think for females, you know, make sure you advocate for yourselves, you know, have those conversations with your employer, whether, you know, at your annual reviews, do your research of the industry just so you have those figures to back it up. Don't be scared to have those conversations. And also, I would say, you know, we've touched on a lot about balancing work life and home life. And again, you know, you were in the position, like you said, that you were self-employed, so you had that luxury to manage your own diary. And Carla, like you said, Skybound have been amazing in giving you that flexibility. So again, have those conversations with your company, and try and come to an agreement that works for you both, because having a work life and home life balance, you're not sacrificing, you know, your performance at work, or you're having the best. You're having the best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
So definitely worth having those conversations.
And do you know what's actually helped with that? Teams. It was since the pandemic. I mean, I think we were talking about this previously, that you'd be at client meetings all face to face, and then overnight suddenly everyone's online. And don't get me wrong, I still very much enjoy being able to see clients face to face, but when you are trying to strike that balance, it certainly does help if you're able to go online and speak to people on
it does. It's much more efficient, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that another challenge that women face is following taking career breaks, and obviously this largely happens when women have a family. And they'll take time off work. That might be an extended maternity leave. It might be taking a long period of time off work, or working on a part-time basis. And that clearly then will disrupt a woman's earnings, and that then leads on naturally to them contributing little to maybe nothing to their retirement pot as well, which obviously is detrimental. So I think that a couple of things that women can do is, firstly, plan ahead and put some savings aside to cater for that time that's taken off work. But for me, I think the more important thing would be for a couple to look at their finances jointly. And this applies even if a couple considers their finances to be separate. I think that income expenditure should be reviewed as a household. Identify what household disposable income is, and then set a portion of that aside to contribute to the woman's retirement pot. Because just because she's not working and bringing an income in and staying at home raising a family doesn't mean that she's not working. And it's not fair for her retirement savings to fall behind. And I think the irony is that women live longer anyway. So it's women that have longer retirements, and it's actually women who need to have more in the retirement pots, and they're the ones that tend to fall behind in that area.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I couldn't agree more. And sadly, I have seen the consequences of women taking a back seat and not being engaged and with the finances, and leaving the family finances to their husbands. I mean, what is it? Around 50% of marriages end in divorce. And the more I do this job, the more, sadly, instances of this I see. And if women haven't been engaged and they don't know what's going on, then it immediately, when things go wrong, it puts them on the back foot, and they become vulnerable because they simply don't have the knowledge or the expertise to be able to manage the finances from there.
So I think investing in financial education for women is a really, really key important area.
And just encouraging engagement as much as possible. Definitely. So what do you think, I mean, how do you think women can support one another really, and achieving financial independence, whether that's through personal networks or through mentorships. What would you say?
Yeah, so, we've touched on it before, but mentorship is so key.
Yep.
If you are an experienced female in this field, make sure that you're making yourself accessible and available. Share your journey, share your stories. We all have them. And I think that's really, really powerful. And for those women who are looking to, enter the industry, there's so many networks out there. So, find the networks, make sure you're participating in the networks, make those connections, have those conversations. And even on LinkedIn, reach out to other females on LinkedIn. Everyone is willing to help. So just put yourself out there and do that. And the other, it sounds so simple, but have those conversations about money. It's kind of one of those topics that
it's a bit of a taboo
it's not
subject.
openly discussed.
But just having a conversation about whether it's kind of investing or debt or whatever that may be, and you actually don't know just by that one conversation how you might impact someone else.
Completely. There's a huge amount of power, I think, in community and communication. I read a study just last week that was from the World Economic Forum Gender Global report. And I wasn't really too surprised to see the results of this study. Norway was up there. Norway actually was second in terms of gender equality. And this is a country that's probably already pretty well known for being sort of forward thinking in their policies with shared paternity leave and so on. But one interesting thing as well about Norway is that they actually publish, it's possible just to go online and you see what everyone pays in terms of their taxes, what people are earning. It's a very sort of open and transparent country, and it just makes me think if women are more open and happy to actually discuss their finances, they can learn from each other, and that's empowering in itself, isn't it?
Very true.
And what do you think, Rhiannon, some of the misconceptions are with women and personal finances? And how do you think we can actually work to dispel some of them?
So I think that one thing is that women sometimes feel that they don't necessarily earn enough to warrant saving for the future. And often then put aside the idea of saving and think, well, in the future, maybe when I'm earning more or circumstances have changed, then I'll start to save and build my retirement pot, for example. And I think that one thing that we need to understand is that starting small can be really powerful. It helps build that financial discipline, that commitment to saving on a regular or a monthly basis. And in addition to that, the consistency of saving and the returns that you can achieve just through compounding alone can really help to build a healthy pot for the future. So I think it's just making that start in the first place that's really important to building financial security for yourself.
Little and regular and consistent.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And you've touched on the power of compounding. I think a lot of women just, again, because of lack of knowledge and lack of education, they just think investments, risky, don't want to do that. So their money just ends up sitting in the bank in cash. And again, it's because they don't understand the power of compounding. And like you said, even if it's small amounts, it doesn't need to be, big amounts, just small amounts, starting early. Even for retirement, a lot of women you speak to, or just kind of people in general, you think, oh, that's so far away. I've got plenty of time to start thinking about that. And it's scary, the difference it makes if you do start early.
Yes, it does. The cost of delay can be quite significant, can't it?
Yeah, for sure. And what would you say to a woman that says, well, I don't have enough to save? How do you think is the best way to sort of approach that?
So what we need to do then is sit down and create a budget. It's really important to put a budget in place, know exactly what's coming in terms of income, exactly what your expenditure is. There might be some expenditures that you don't be needing to make, and that we can use then to start saving some money, like we say, even if it's just a small amount each month, just to build that financial discipline and put that commitment in place.
Yeah, for sure. And I found that once you know what you need to save on a month-to-month basis, it can be quite freeing as to what's left.
Yes, yeah.
Because that, once you've got the sort of the clear separation in terms of the
it sometimes helps to work backwards and look at what the end picture is, or what you want the end picture to look like. You know, I want my retirement to look like this, or I want to buy a house in 5 years' time, and work backwards from there to say, well, actually then, what do I need to be saving? And it just helps focus that goal then, doesn't it, in your mind?
For sure, definitely.
And I think it feels amazing, especially then when you're looking back, you're only going to thank yourself, right?
Yeah,
you're paying your future self.
You are.
Yeah. And what advice would you give younger women then that are just starting their careers, just to set them on that path for financial planning?
I think my advice would be to build your financial foundations first.
Yeah.
So going back to the budget, make sure you put that budget in place as early as possible and get used to it. Make sure you have an emergency fund as well. 3 to 6 months expenditure is just money that's easily accessible in a bank account for that inevitable expenditure that crops up from time to time. It's a relief if you've got that cushion to fall back on. I think avoiding what we call lifestyle inflation is really important as well. It's so tempting as our income grows over time to increase our expenditure alongside it. But if we can resist that lifestyle inflation and live within our means, it means that we've got more surplus money available to help us meet our goals. And then I think my final piece of advice would be to try and avoid debt as far as possible. So avoid credit card debt, avoiding personal loans, because interest rates can be quite high on these.
Yeah, and it can be a bit of a slippery slope.
It can. And I think then if you do decide or need to take on debt, do so, but with a solid plan in place for making sure that you pay that debt off.
Yeah, okay. That's good advice. Any comments from you, Umarrah?
So I think it's never too early to seek financial guidance. You know, there's that kind of perception of, I have to have X amount of money to speak to a financial planner, and that's not the case at all. So, you know, sit down, think about, right, what do I want my future to look like? What are my goals? And then, you know, take that time out, sit with a financial planner, have those conversations and start working towards that. And, you know, it's super empowering as a female specifically, you know, just to have that all in place. It gives you that confidence. It gives you that security. Yeah.
No, that's right. No, so let's move on and talk about Women Like Us. Okay. So this initiative, it began nearly 10 years ago when I went to a global women's conference with some female colleagues of mine. We held a workshop which was around financial education for women, helping women to take control of their finances. And since then, my colleague Taylor and we've gone on to hold other events and seminars really around really supporting women and their finances. Women Like Us, really at its core, it was created by women. It's for women. It is about offering a safe space for women to share ideas, to ask questions and really support one another. Now, I'm really excited to learn a little bit from yourselves now in terms of how you see Women Like Us here in Dubai and how you're looking to develop this further here in Dubai and surrounding.
Yeah, so Umarrah and I were very excited to learn about Women Like Us when we joined Skybound, and we are certainly very excited to be launching the initiative here in Dubai and the wider region. We have a vision for Women Like Us here to be a community where women can come together, expats and professionals alike, to feel inspired to take control of their finances and plan for their financial futures.
Okay.
We've got lots of things planned. We certainly going to focus on offering regular events and workshops that cover lots of different financial topics, financial education, financial well-being. And we just want to bring women together in interactive and accessible environments where they can feel inspired and they can feel comfortable as well to ask questions without judgment.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And I think another thing that we're looking to do is start coaching programs.
Right.
So specifically for women who need financial guidance. Obviously, a lot of women who move to Dubai and the wider region, it's a completely new financial landscape that they're navigating.
Yeah.
And throw in, you know, starting a new career, balancing family and things such like that. So just kind of building that strong sense of community, to be there to support them, and also collaborating with other women-led networks.
Yep.
So again, like Rhiannon had touched on, we just want to build a really strong sense of community here. So yeah, collaborating with other networks is definitely something that we're looking to do as well. And just helping women connect on that level.
Okay, that sounds brilliant. So thank you, and thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you.
I've really enjoyed speaking with you both. Delighted to have you on board with the company, and I'm excited to see everything that you have in store and see how things evolve with women like us here in Dubai. So yes, thank you all for joining today. If any of the points that we discussed resonated with any of you, then please do feel free to reach out to any one of us. And if you are in Dubai or in the surrounding regions here, please do get involved, come to the events, workshops that Rhiannon and Umarrah will be having planned over the coming months ahead. So yeah, thank you once again.